A publicity stunt against Tesla is actually backfiring. There is quite a bit of Tesla news. I'll go through everything, and it has been mostly just good news for Tesla for the last few days. But Kia is targeting Tesla owners with a new Conquest cash incentive, offering them up to $1,500 to switch from their Tesla to a new Kia EV. This is definitely a publicity stunt, but it is backfiring because Elon Musk has replied to it on his main timeline, getting 27.8 million views, saying, but here's the rub, Tesla never has to bribe Kia drivers to buy a Tesla. Ouch, that stings. By the way, did you know that Kia actually makes a Stinger? We have really good news for Tesla from China. During the previous week, Tesla delivered a good amount of vehicles, and I believe that actually sent the stock a little bit higher when it was announced. It was actually the third best week of the year for Tesla in China, but it's actually even better than that, and then after that, it gets even better than that. Let me show you why. Currently, the estimated delivery date for the Model 3 is actually increasing. It just went from 3 to 5 weeks to 4 to 6 weeks. And here's how it gets even better. So Tesla is actually up week over week when it comes to deliveries, but all other companies, BYD down 27%, NIO down 25%, Mercedes down almost 20%, Audi down 15%, BMW down 30%. All of these companies down. But not Tesla this week. Tesla this week is actually up. This information is so good that X actually decided to label the post from Roland as only suitable for adults. The news must be just too naughty. Everyone agrees for Tesla, China just keeps ripping. James' forecast of 475,000 for Q3 is still secure. And last week, Tesla actually reached a weekly record number of sales for the Model 3 specifically. So Tesla bulls are definitely very happy with all of this news. Sawyer tries to be somewhat neutral, but even he couldn't resist saying that Tesla China is just killing it. And what Tesla is doing in China is even more impressive once you understand that in China, you have 187 different EVs to choose from. There's a lot of competition there. And yet Tesla is doing really well. Tesla's market share when it comes to BEV, specifically in China, is at about 11.4%, making it number 2 right after BYD, which makes a lot of cheaper vehicles. And Tesla is doing some promotion for its vehicles being able to retain good value, specifically in China. Supposedly it's at the top of the market over there. This assumes that Tesla is not going to cut prices going forward, sort of. Even though BYD has noticeably higher market share, it was only 6% below BYD's China EV sales to revenue in the month of August. And in practical terms, BYD is selling about 18 models versus Tesla's Model Y and Model 3. Additionally, not even BYD's best-selling Seagull, which generated almost $500 million in revenue, comes close to the Model 3's $675 million, let alone the Model Y's $1.8 billion in revenue. What a chart here. Wow. And this is fantastic news. China just reached a new BEV adoption record of over 30%. And some other countries also are reaching really high BEV adoption rates. For example, Denmark is now at 55% almost. Very high. Here's some more really good news for Tesla. Deutsche Bank has named Tesla a top pick with a $295 price target. At the core, we do not see Tesla as an automaker, but rather a technology platform attempting to reshape multiple industries deserving of a unique type of valuation framework. It actually makes sense. Tesla structurally already has a big lead in BEVs, especially as it relates to scale and cost, and commands outsized brand value globally. If you read the mainstream media, you would think the opposite. Near term, automotive deliveries, the margins have indeed been softer, but we view this as temporary ahead of new models and refreshes coming in the pipeline. That's absolutely correct. Just like right before the Model Y came out, many people were saying, oh, Tesla is going to be dead, but then it came out and it worked really well and it started making a lot of money. You are going to see very similar things happening for Tesla again. Long term, Tesla is an emerging leader in autonomous driving, but they actually get it. And humanoid robots. In our view, which represents some of the most clear and lucrative applications of end-to-end AI. Furthermore, the energy storage business is already undergoing a major growth and margin inflection set to generate over $13 billion in sales in 2025. Wow, well, Deutsche Bank seems to be understanding Tesla with this top pick here that they assigned to it. Here's a more good news for Tesla. The European Union will lower proposed final tariffs on Tesla and slightly trim rates for other electric vehicles from China after taking into account submissions by the companies. Tesla's proposed tariff rate will drop to 7.8% from 9%, but keep in mind that these are on top of the 10% tariffs that we had before. But still, it's going to be a little bit lower compared to what it would have been. It turns out it makes so much sense for police departments to buy Cybertrucks that they actually decided to not just wait for the regular edition Cybertruck, but they bought a Foundation Series Cybertruck, at least this California police department just did, and they spent $150,000 on it. When the price gets cheaper, I assume many more police departments will be buying a lot of these Cybertrucks. It just makes sense. It's durable, it's going to be actually more cost effective, it's incredibly tough, and it's pretty fast too. If you are a car enthusiast, you will recognize James May, and he finally drove the Cybertruck and he liked it. And he asked Elon Musk if he could make something about the size of the Model Y, or maybe a bit smaller, with the Cybertruck styling. So overall, good news, he likes it. I'm looking at some renders from some people of a smaller vehicle with Cybertruck styling. I'm not sure if that would really be a... Okay, this one is just not good. Here's another one. This one combines the Cybertruck styling with the Model Y. This is done by Grok. If you really shrink it down, though, you basically get a Lamborghini. This is definitely relevant to us Tesla investors. China has strongly advised its car makers to make sure advanced electric vehicle technology stays in the country, even as they build factories around the world to escape punitive tariffs on Chinese exports. So Beijing is encouraging Chinese automakers to export so-called knockdown kits to their foreign plants, meaning key parts of a vehicle would be produced domestically and then sent for final assembly in their destination market. But if they just do that, they should still face some tariffs because they are basically making the car outside of the destination country. So to me, this is sort of a signal that China is not really that serious about competing outside of China. If Tesla sent so-called knockdown kits to its Chinese factory, do you think China would be happy with it? Do you think China would let Tesla get away without any tariffs within China? I don't think so. By the way, there's more good news for Tesla in China. Tesla officially sold more vehicles in China than last year now. This is comparing year-to-date registrations to the previous year up to the same time of the year. Elon Musk actually has commented on this news. Mobileye is ending its lidar development for use in autonomous and highly automated driving systems and laying off about 100 employees. Here's a full statement from them. We now believe that the availability of next-generation FMCW lidar is less essential to our roadmap for eyes-off systems. This decision was based on a variety of factors, including substantial progress on our IQ6 based computer vision perception, increased clarity of understanding that we were wrong, as well as increased performance of our internally developed imaging radar and continued better than expected cost reductions in third-party time of flight lidar units. Here's the statement basically decoded. LiDAR is less essential, and it opened our eyes, and now we can see, just with cameras. And so I made another post quoting that previous post. And fuel cells, says Elon Musk, and hydrogen combustion cars make LiDAR look smart. Elon Musk in 2019 said LiDAR is a fool's errand. Anyone relying on LiDAR is doomed. Doomed. Expensive sensors that are unnecessary. You'll see, this is from 2019. On top of Mobileye, a Chinese EV maker Xpeng recently announced plans to ditch LiDAR as well. And did you know that this LiDAR supplier laid off 20% of its employees a few months ago due to business struggles? Maybe because companies are realizing, oh, LiDAR? Yeah, that's a waste of money. James commented on this as well, saying Elon is always 7 years too early. And usually right, he admits. And earlier, I reported on the cat fight between James and Omar, but look, here they are agreeing. Mobileye 2023 revenue, $2 billion. FSD 2023 revenue estimated by Goldman Sachs to be $3 billion. He's not early, he's 10 years ahead of the curve. Yeah, so Mobileye is saying This is it. No more internal lidar development. There's a fairly significant note from Morgan Stanley's Adam Jonas. We know that the value of Elon Musk's non-Tesla stakes may be reaching parity and exceeding the value of his Tesla shares. We urge Tesla investors to expand the analysis of the company's operational and strategic outlook to include scenarios that may potentially involve Mr. Musk's other interests outside the company. I see so much potential with other Elon Musk's companies, XAI, SpaceX, X, Neuralink even. But SpaceX is really the one that I believe Elon Musk cares the most about. He wants to colonize Mars. So if I wanted to bet on Elon Musk in the safest way, I would probably invest more in SpaceX because in the long term, that's the one that he really cares about the most. Tesla, I believe he will basically eventually use, he will sell some of his Tesla shares and use that money to fund SpaceX further. And Elon before has sort of made it public when there were talks about his compensation package years and years and years ago that the money will be used for a good cause and a lot of it is going to be used for colonizing the Mars planet. So Elon thinks it's for a good cause. But anyway, here are some more details from the note. And Wall Street Journal reported on a story of how Tesla and Elon Musk's AI startup XAI have discussed potential licensing and revenue sharing opportunities. Mr. Musk responded via X saying the summary of the article was not accurate. Musk denies report of new ethics conflict in Tesla XAI FSD revenue share scheme. Keep in mind that Electric now, the reporter from Electric, Fred Lambert, no longer owns any Tesla stock. He just sold all of his Tesla stock, and so going forward, officially, I would consider him basically a Tesla bear. Now, I wonder exactly how would something like a licensing deal between XAI and Tesla work exactly, where XAI would license something to Tesla. There's also a Dojo supercomputer update. I'm going to get into that as well. So Electric presents a question: if Tesla is so good at AI, why rely on XAI? And a simple answer to that is, for example, Tesla is now a huge company. So someone who wants to work at a startup and get a bunch of stock options, meaning if they do really good work, they make a whole bunch more money. People like that want to work at a startup where they can get good stock options. Tesla is now a huge company, so a lot of that talent, or certainly at least some of that talent, you just cannot get. But let's get into some rumors here. The latest move was reported over the weekend by the Wall Street Journal, citing people familiar with the matter, so how accurate is this is going to be questionable, who say discussions have been had around licensing XAI software for FSD specifically, and using XAI to help develop voice assistance features for Tesla cars and for Optimus robots. In exchange for this help, XAI executives have suggested an even revenue sharing split from Tesla's FSD. Now, an even split, that sounds way too much. Interesting how it says here XAI executives. So I assume this did not include Elon Musk. Okay, so I believe this is to be quite important because it's pretty detailed, and Elon Musk basically replied to this post. So let's go through the whole thing. Elon Musk's AI startup XAI has discussed a deal where it would get some Tesla revenue in exchange for providing the car maker access to technology and resources. Under a proposed arrangement as described to investors, Tesla would license XAI's AI models to help power its driver assistance software. And XAI would assist in developing other features for Tesla, including a Siri-like voice assistant. I have no issues with the assistant. And Elon explains that he hasn't read the full Wall Street Journal article, but the above is not accurate. The above meaning everything that I just went over here. So even the voice assistant is not accurate? That's interesting. Maybe he didn't click into the full post, so maybe he's just talking specifically about FSD and sharing revenue from that. Tesla has learned a lot from discussions with engineers at XAI that have helped accelerate achieving unsupervised FSD, but there's no need to license anything from XAI. The XAI models are gigantic, containing in compressed form most of human knowledge, and couldn't possibly run on the Tesla vehicle inference computer, nor would we want them to. The Tesla AI models have incredibly dense, in a good way, intelligence as they compress video of reality into driving commands, but must operate on a 300-watt computer with memory size and bandwidth far lower than, say, an H100 GPU. Tesla real-world AI also has a vastly larger context size than an LLM, as the combined video history from all cameras is several gigabytes in size. So the keyword here is there's no need to license anything from XAI. I assume that the proposals came not from Elon Musk, but from other people working at XAI, and I don't blame them for that. I mean, they are trying to make as much money as possible, which is one reason why I would like Tesla to own a piece of XAI. When is that going to finally happen? We know that discussions have happened already. So yeah, I would really like Tesla to invest into XAI. That would solve a lot of potential issues. But also Elon Musk just did this interview and it was really good. Personally, it was actually my favorite interview in a long time. But you have to watch the whole thing. The last part of the interview was absolutely wild. It was a lot of fun. Elon Musk was having a lot of fun during the whole interview, really. He was laughing. He was in a good mood too. And he used some crazy language. I'm not going to read it out loud, but it's actually family friendly. If you know the context, it is fully family friendly, but if you just read it, it doesn't sound so. Elon also said if his backed candidate wins the political office, we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to reduce the size of government and government spending. This country is going bankrupt soon, he said. We will only be able to make payment on interest. So Elon's plan is basically this. If we get rid of nonsense regulations and shift people from the government to the private sector, we'll have immense prosperity. We'll have a golden age in America. Someone actually used Grok to generate an image of what happened during the SNL skit. And now here's the Dojo update directly from Elon Musk. We should have Dojo 2 in volume production by the end of next year. That will be comparable to an NVIDIA B200 type system. I have some improved conviction in Dojo, but we won't really know how good it is until version 3. Usually it takes 3 major iterations on a technology for it to be excellent, and we will only have the second major iteration next year. The third iteration may be late 2026. So naturally, Sawyer's significant other, Barbara, predicted that the MSM headlines would say this. I'm not gonna read it, but that's a pretty good prediction, actually. Pretty solid. After all, Elon Musk really did pull out a small rooster during that SNL skit. Continuing with the Morgan Stanley note, AI bigger than EV. A recent investor survey suggested that the AI theme is more deterministic to Tesla's share price than EVs by roughly 2 to 1. In our view, this makes commercial, scientific, economic developments around Elon Musk's privately held pure-play AI startup relevant. I definitely agree with that, and it's obvious. It's been obvious for a long time. EV fundamentals can drive downside, but AI-adjacent developments are necessary to drive material upside in our view. By material, I would say Tesla stock going up multiple times. Morgan Stanley made Tesla their top pick in the US auto 6 weeks ago, driven largely by our view that the market will, over the next 12 months, appreciate the expanding surface area between Tesla and the AI theme, particularly in autonomy and robotics. Car and human-shaped robots have clear overlap with large language models. Autonomous industrial complex. While there is significant attention ahead of Tesla's October 10th Robotaxi Day, which now has been officially confirmed by Tesla to take place in Los Angeles. This just happened, by the way, in the last few days. We see the intersection of robotics and autonomy having far broader potential relevance across a wide spectrum of machines and devices in embodied AI. And Tesla is making the Optimus bot. And by the way, Tesla shareholders are allowed to attend the event, but it's going to be sort of like a lottery. You can pause and read the information which explains how to sign up. By the way, did you know that OpenAI, the nonprofit, is raising more money, or is in talks to raise more money, at a $150 billion valuation? Obviously, it's worth nothing because it's a nonprofit. Here's someone who finally tested 12.5.1 on hardware 3. So note that this is hardware 3, and he did not exactly have a positive experience. His conclusion was that he actually preferred the old version 12.3.6 better. But Omar explains what's happening. James naturally, by the way, dumped and criticized FSD here. But context is really important. Scott in this case is running FSD 12.5.1.3, a smaller version of the FSD model that was prepared as sort of a backup plan in case they couldn't get the full-size model to run on hardware 3. It was never wide released. The latest version 12.5.3 now runs the same model in both hardware 3 and hardware 4. Looking at some weeks old build for older hardware is not going to give you a progress update on Robotaxi. For that, you should look to the latest software. So here's the latest version, and it pulls up some interesting moves. Check this out. So it's gonna come out here, but there are more interesting moves to follow after that. So it turns left, and this was already slightly confusing, but it gets more interesting around here-ish. We're gonna wait for this light to turn, and now we're gonna go right. No, it's sort of straight, but not fully straight. And there wasn't hesitation once it started going. I only see some excessive steering wheel movement when the car is basically almost stopped, which doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, this is pretty nice. If you want a very realistic portrayal of how FSD is actually performing right now, I think AI Driver is really good, and also Dylan Loomis has good takes as well. He doesn't shy away from criticizing FSD's present performance, but here's his long-term view. When Tesla starts deploying robotaxis and things start scaling quickly, it's going to be an incredibly vindicating moment for so many people. Can you imagine years of Wall Street analysts saying that regulatory hurdles are too great and it's not possible without lidar, and yet it just happens? Years of the media mocking the technology and putting it on blast, calling it a danger to everyone on the road, while influencers take money from OEMs to review or implicitly speak highly about inferior technology. Years of the average consumer paying no attention to a technology that's going to save millions of lives and give people thousands of hours back, lives I might add, that will undoubtedly be future generations in this family trees of the very ones that derided Tesla for trying to solve this problem. And then of course, years of Tesla investors foaming into the stock, expecting monotonic appreciation, and then quickly selling and then speaking negatively about Tesla out of emotion thanks to their own unrealistic expectations, but then watching it skyrocket. Oof, you know it's gonna happen. I don't know when this moment is coming yet, and I think I agree with this as well, but I know it's coming. But I follow this company, says Dylan, daily now for work for nearly 5 years. Nothing in life is guaranteed, but I really have never felt more confident that Tesla is going to figure this out. Dylan admits that he shared some unfiltered experiences with FSD and that it's not ready yet. He repeats that. But there's a lot of challenging work still ahead, which Tesla, he believes, is going to solve. And to everyone who is on track to be on the right side of history with this one, cheers to you. There's also a little bit of excitement about Tesla supposedly announcing that they are planning to integrate Uber driver navigation directly into vehicles, which I think would be really appreciated by many Uber drivers, because now anytime you see an Uber driver in a Tesla, they are using their phones for navigation and not Tesla's navigation system. But what's actually happening is the Uber driver app for your cell phone now supports connecting to your Tesla account via the Tesla API, which anyone can access to send addresses to your car's navigation system and check how much charge you have when dispatching your trips. Tesla wasn't involved in any of this. But still, this will be a very welcome change by Uber drivers. And there was also pretty big SpaceX news. Polaris Dawn mission was conducted, which was the first ever private spacewalk. Here's a picture from it. Here's some footage that we got from there. Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world. This was the farthest humans have traveled in over 50 years and over 3.4 times higher than the International Space Station. Check out the initial clip of the person getting out.
SpaceX. Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world. All right, SpaceX, BB1, I'm going to step into Test Matrix 1. Single-handed mobility demonstration.
Commander Jared Isaacman now emerging
Copy,
from...
we're with you in Test Matrix 1, watching from the nose cone.
And that's going to be it for today's video. If you do not see me back tomorrow or Saturday, I will be back probably on Monday. Thank you so much for watching. And by the way, I just published an exclusive video on Patreon, so if you remember, make sure to check it out. The video is about an overlooked reason why Elon Musk is so interested in politics. By joining Patreon, you will have access to all of my exclusive videos on Patreon, as well as how much I am willing to pay for each Tesla share between 2024 and 2033. If you join the investor tier, you will also have access to my valuation model, where you will see all of my assumptions, including deliveries, the energy business, Tesla's future businesses like FSD, and of course much more. And then if you want to easily download that and put in your own numbers, then this third tier is for you. To all of my Patreon supporters, thank you so much. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet as well. It's really important to like the videos because that makes it less likely that the channel will be shadow banned later, like my other big channel got shadow banned before from about 50% of my regular viewers. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.